Oh, I'm so excited for this one. Tow Boogie. Got this during the week and I haven't had a chance to open it, so I am absolutely frothing. This is the first production batch. It came with 2 other boxes. One's a battery, the other one is a small trolley for it, which I've already set up. But let me get the battery and then we'll have a look what's in the main box. It's definitely the heavier one of the 2, but I'm surprised how light the big one is. So, all right, let's see. Ooh. All right, so we've got pump, hose and main pump. We've got battery charger. So this is a guy that I met in New Zealand that started developing this. I saw it in the back of his car and it was literally a bodyboard with a prop and a battery box on top, kind of like the original foil drive system thing. And then, yeah, he's taking it to a whole new level. So prop, there should be a controller. Oh wow, it's not that heavy. That's all it is. It's like a jet ski, and that's, man, the thing's so light. All right, I've ridden it a couple times. I helped him a little bit with the original testing. What do we got in here? Grease for the zipper, a small repair kit, I assume. Yeah, some tools, repair kit. Ooh, ZeroTow. Ah, controller. So it's got a wireless controller, a wireless charger, just USB. And that charges that one up. Let's pump it up. So there's 2 sections to it. There's an airframe. I don't know what it's called. I'm gonna call it an airframe. So inside there's a frame that you pump up to like 10 to 15 PSI. That's kind of like what goes hard, holds the battery in the front, the controller, the steering, all that. And then the outer shell, you just zip it closed and the zipper's actually fully airtight. So you just pump the outer shell up to a couple PSI. I think it's about 2. It's pretty simple actually. Have I got it on deflate? Yep. I'm gonna go 12, middle. That's about 12. All right, done. I need to put the prop on, which is a socket. Oh, I'm way too excited. Pretty sure that's a 13 mil. It is. So, we'll pop the little pin out. I definitely should read the instructions. So it comes in the shallow. There's sort of 2 orientations. One's deep, one's shallow. Seems to look like it goes into the shallow one. So put that through. Keep it level. Oh, there it goes. Sweet. That's it. She's on. That's all we do. Battery. Let's have a look at that first. Ooh, that's bright. Ooh. Very nice. So there's an on and off button. All I know is you have to make sure it's off before you plug it in. Once you plug it in, then you can turn it on. I assume there might be a little bit of charge in it, so I might just turn it on, make sure it's all working, and go from there. Right, let me grab the trolley. So without the battery, it's pretty lightweight. Like it's, I don't know, 10, 12 kilos. It's definitely not particularly heavy. So there's 3 straps that hold down the battery. Whoa. So orange goes to orange, battery's off. That's your only thing. So orange goes onto the orange, black goes onto the black, and that's it. Just the airframe kind of holds it in place. There's these straps that you just got to strap it down with. 1, 2, 3. So in the past, when I borrowed one off Mark, well, they were still early prototypes, but I was just deflating the bigger part and leaving the airframe pumped up. And I just take the battery out. I can carry it under my arm, throw it in the car. It was pretty mobile. I hadn't been using the trolley, but if you got a long walk, I think the trolley is a good idea. That's pretty much it. All right, so I'm going to turn the motor on, and you pretty much see the prop should move. So if I turn it on, nothing happens. Oh, there it goes. Comes back. All right, I think that's pretty much it. I'll test the controller. So hold the middle button, turns on, make sure it's paired. So once it's on, hold the left and the right button together. You get to the menu, top one, pair boogie, and there it is. So just click on it. Vibrates, we're on. I might actually quickly calibrate the trigger. So that's the second one. Tells you what to do. So you go calibrate trigger, release trigger and press the center button. Fully press trigger, then press center button. Calibrated. Oh, that was easy. Done. All right, let's close that and let's test it. So to unlock it, you press the center button, pull the trigger, and it comes up in the bottom armed. Oh, it's on. That's it. That is so good. It is so hot. All right, so to inflate it, all you have to do is zip it up, and I just kind of hold this upright so it has as much air in it as possible. Make sure this is out, and then just inflate it. That was 12 breaths. Yeah, that's it. You just lock that off, it's inflated, and then again, center button, trigger, it's got power, you drive it. You then press the right button, so if it's in just normal driving mode, you press the right button, and it moves to the right, you press the left button, moves to the left. And that way, you can drive it back to yourself. Then your other option is you press the center button, and it goes into auto summon mode. So you still have to drive the trigger, but it'll automatically steer. So it doesn't have any power. You've always got to give it power. It will never move automatically, only when you give it power. But in that auto mode, it'll auto steer and work its way back to you or follow you when you're on a wave. And it won't ever hit you. Once it gets close, it just follows and tracks behind you at a certain distance. So it's pretty safe. It's generally once I get on a wave, I'll either leave it out the back or I will put it into auto mode, just hold the trigger full, and I know it'll just stay about like 5 to 10 meters behind me. So, yeah. All right, I'm gonna go chuck it in the car. Actually, I'm gonna deflate it. Grab my stuff, chuck it in the car. I think it had 68% battery, 70% battery. The controller's, yeah, probably about the same, 60, 70%. So, should have enough to get a session in. Let's go test it out. It looks good. We've had some terrible weather. Winds have just been onshore and kind of not great. So it's been a couple of days since I did the unboxing. It's been eating me alive not being able to test it out. So finally got a morning. We can go test it out. Yeah, do a proper review. I'm psyching. It's in pretty good. Kind of like another board. Alrighty, let's set up my foil. Pretty much as soon as I'm using the tow boogie, I'm just going to my full tow setup. So I'm running the 625 today with a slightly chopped down 140 tail. That's kind of my go-to for as soon as I'm towing and I don't need to pump myself. So as soon as I'm proning, I'm like the HAs. But for now, because I'm towing, 625. Go as small as possible. So I'm going to basically carry my setup down with the battery. Because I just stuff a heap of gear in here and I don't want to take my mast, everything apart. I don't have the trolley, so it's only like a 20-meter walk down, so it's pretty easy. Battery off. is nothing worse than a wet wetsuit. Looks fun out there though. It's a little junky, there's a little bit of chop. It's not perfect conditions, so I think it's a more fair review. I think tested in all conditions, not just perfection. So, oh, let's get out there. This looks fun. All right, so I just basically drove it out the back. So because it's kind of a shore break and hard, often if it's a perfect spot, like a good ramp, I just basically get it to drag me out till I'm into deep water, often flip the board upside down, just drag out till it's deep enough. But because it's a shore break, I'm just gonna throw it, drive it out the back, then I'll just paddle out and go grab it. Quite about the back, so I'm gonna get the boogie to come over, pick me up, and let's go do it. Oh, that never gets old. There's actually no bungee in the cord, so you need to make sure you get all the slack out of it before you try top. If you give it a bit of gas, it'll almost rip your arm off. There we go. So basically, gone over the reef. How it works is when you go out to the right of the boogie, it turns to the left. So basically, you're pulling it around with the tow rope. So if I go to the left here, it turns around to the right. And it's actually really intuitive. I got on it for the first time and went left, went right, and was like, oh, that was easy. That makes sense. So it's been a surprisingly intuitive way to turn. So once you're up, you don't turn. All you're doing, with the controller, all you're doing is pulling the throttle. You're just making sure or just controlling how much power it has. And then by you going out to the left or the right, you steer it. So it's up to you to choose the line or to surf around. If you see a wave, quickly cut around, and then you can whip yourself in just like you would with a ski. So it's a surprisingly intuitive way to turn. Let's see if we got one coming out the back. So I go out to the left. Woo! Now there are additional features in the auto summon steer mode. Still don't know what it's called. You can, once you've got it in that auto mode, you can click the left or the right button, and that'll give it a 15-meter offset to your left or your right. And that just means if you're in waves that are like a running point break and you want it not to be sort of just behind you and off to the right or the left, depending which way the wave's going, you can do that. So I just click it. Now back into auto, I'm going to put it to the right. So now it's sitting over to my right-hand side, which is kind of perfect. I think that gives you the option to just keep it away from the rocks, the wave, anything like that. Now, one of the issues, I suppose the biggest thing with tow boogie is that it's super lightweight, which sounds great because it's so mobile, it's easy to, carry, chuck in your car, but it comes with negatives. So you see now where it's choppy water, it bounces around a lot, and that's just because it's so lightweight. It also wants to roll to the right. So if I go a little bit too quick, you'll see it's trying to almost barrel roll off, and that's because the motor's or the prop's spinning in one direction, and it's almost trying to throw off the rest of the unit because it's got so much torque. So in really choppy waters, you've got a lot of rebound. You've got to slow it down. The slower you use it, the better it sort of sits down in the water. That weight stays down, it keeps the prop in the water and doesn't bounce out. If I try and go fast now, I'm heading into chop. You can see it starts to get it bounces around a bit. It starts to do some weird stuff. Whereas if I just slow it down now, it just sits much nicer. So definitely something to think about if you've got really choppy waters, anything like that. You really need to be a little bit more careful and play around with how you drive it. You can make it work, but also when you're getting up, if you're in really choppy waters, it can jump out of the water, and once the prop comes out of the water, it basically, you get
you lose all that tension in the rope and it can become jerky and awkward. So you got to kind of either time it so you're going across the chop or going with the chop, and just be nice and gentle with the trigger and kind of ease it up. So I'm just heading up the other end looking for another wave. It looks like there is something right up here, just trying to mix it up. Just show you what it's like when you're just trying to trim over to other waves. I'm kind of going medium speed, so you can see it's tracking pretty well. I mean, I'm on a 625, so it's a small foil. Got a high stall speed, so I need to keep it moving. I can't just go slow with it. So the other thing is, when you start doing these longer trips, or should I say longer drives, I'm not really sure what you call it, your left arm, your bicep gets pretty sore. So I've been learning to use the boogie other way. So right hand on the rope, left hand on the trigger, and it definitely eased the load on my left arm. Oh, there's one out the back. So I'm just cutting hard out to the left. It almost stops. You can turn it on a dime. Cut back over to the right, flick it around. All right, I'm into this one. Because this is a real slabby reef or heavy sort of, yeah, it's kind of a slabby wave. I'm gonna leave it out the back because I don't want to have to worry about it. Woo. Yeah, I don't want it to get washed in here, so I'm waiting until I get out the back. Now flick it into, I'll just drive it over to me. Now, because I know everyone's going to say it, oh, you're lightweight, it works easy for you. Now, the guy that's been developing this is 95 kilos. One of my best friends that I foil with, he's 92 kilos and he's riding this with a 34-litre board. So I'm 73 kilos and I'm riding a 22-litre board and it's got no problems. I don't even need max throttle to get out of the water. Jeremy Wilmot is 96 kilos. He rides a 27-litre board with this and he's fine getting up with it. So the other thing is, you know, all you have to do is get the board to the surface. Once the board's to the surface, you can ride as small a foil as you like. I've ridden the 475 with this. That's the smallest I've got. So once you can get that board to the surface, you can really get any foil up. And that's kind of the joy of this product, is you can ride those full surf setups, like ultimate performance. And all you have to do is get that board to the surface and you're up and going. And so that's kind of what I like about this product, is it is an assist in some way that kind of goes into that category, but it's really not. It's really just to replace the jet ski, so you can go ride the best waves that you couldn't paddle into normally. So it just opens up a whole nother world for foiling. It's not just assisting you in getting up. It's really just opening up it. So yeah, this thing is definitely it may be a different genre in terms of assist and e-foil products, but yeah, I'm loving it. This thing is just, this is what it's about. Foiling is the best sport. Oh, there is so much innovation and development going on, and I just love it. All right, done. Just drove in. Basically, I just paddled back in. Once I paddled in, I just left it out the back, took my board up, and then I just drove it in. Drove in here, carried it, put it up here, and now I'm just going to basically wipe down the zip, open it up. The other thing is, yeah, don't use the zipper to deflate it. Make sure you use that one first, then you can do the zipper. I just wipe it down like the zipper just to stop any water getting inside. I mean, it's electronic. Electronics and water just don't mix, so it's easy to keep them separate. But yeah, it says I've got 81% battery left, and I was out for probably an hour 15 to an hour and a half. So I was stuffing around a little bit with the camera, so like say an hour worth of normal riding, but like I reckon I could get like easily 3 hours, and that by then I'm cooked. So that new battery is feeling really good. Seems to have way more range or time on foils, so it feels epic. So yeah, look, there are little bits and things, you know, you got to be cautious with, especially that weight, how it tips when it hits chop. I would love to see a floating handle, and the fact that it sort of gets stuck open. But yeah, I'm going to change that out. Play around with some different things. I'm going to put a bungee section in there, play with that. But yeah, I'm just stoked to see some,
see what sort of firmware updates they keep coming up with. They've got something at the moment they were talking about where once you're on a wave, it'll automatically switch into that auto steer or auto summon mode. So then it'll just, you don't have to worry about pressing the center button. So there's lots of little things. There's heaps of parameters in the remote that you can tweak and change, the max power, the angle, this and that, like the ramp up. So you can definitely really geek out on that, and I'm sure people are gonna, once they get amongst them, they'll all be tweaking those parameters to get exactly what they want out of it. But even just straight out of the box, yeah, it's a pretty unbelievable product that's giving me the options to basically go tow foiling by myself in locations where we couldn't get a ski otherwise. So, I'm thrilled. So epic. All right, gonna take it back up to the car, and I gotta go to work. Yeah, so basically it's been 3 weeks since I got the Tow Boogie, and just wanted to give a quick wrap up on, have I still been using it? Where does it sit in my quiver? And any of the sort of, I guess, issues or anything ongoing. Main thing is I bring it everywhere now. Every time I go for a session, it's in the car. Probably 2 out of 3 prone sessions, I'm taking the Boogie out with me. And it's been it just means I'm getting so many more waves. In the past, we're probably tow foiling, taking the ski out maybe once every 2 weeks. Now I'm bringing it out probably 3 to 4 times a week. So definitely a massive ramp up. I'm getting way more waves, progressing so much quicker. I can really work on particular things in my foiling. Gives you that repetition. With prone foiling, often you're catching the wave, you're pumping out. By the time you pump out, you're pretty tired. So this gives you the opportunity to catch waves, calm, rested, and you can really focus on parts of your technique, things you want to work on. The other thing is it has been kind of social, which is kind of 2 parts. This was with the original handle. I put a pool noodle, cut the little end off the pool noodle, and I put it to that. So that means it floats. That was one of my issues with the handle, that it didn't float. But with that, it floats. But also, because it's not wrapped around your wrist, you can throw it off. You can throw it to a friend. So we've been having sessions where there's a few of us out. We'll take the Tow Boogie out. You get a wave, then you throw it out to someone else. They get a wave, they throw it to someone else. Everyone can have a session, have a go. If it's really small and it's just not quite breaking, or it's really slow, it just means guys can get whipped up. Everyone has a go and just still has some fun. So it's been a great way to kind of just have some fun with your mates. One of the things I found was it wanted to roll to the right a lot. So if you look at it from behind, there's a parameter for the manual rudder offset. So I've offset that 15% off to the left. So it sits a little bit, and that counteracts that kind of rolling motion. It's made it heaps easier on the takeoff in choppy water, and heaps smoother just when you're sort of putting along in choppy water or going a little bit quicker. So that's really helped. Probably the one thing I haven't really been using is the trolley. It takes up a lot of room, especially in the car. I think if you're doing longer walks, it's almost a must. If I go directly from my house, it's about 150 meters to the water. So I'm definitely taking it for that walk. But if I'm driving somewhere, it means I need to take my mast off. If I don't bring the trolley, I can fit my prone board in, mast on, tail wing, basically everything apart from the front wing, still fit the Boogie in. So it's just more of a logistics thing. Depends how big your car is. So just something to keep in mind. If you do have a long walk to the beach, it does take up a fair bit of space. But apart from that, look, I've honestly been loving it. It is every session I have on it, I still just like pinch myself and just go like, this is possible. It is actually an insane product, and definitely something that I'm going to continue to use. And it has really taken over as a product that I use so much. Jeremy Wilmot has one as well, and I haven't seen him prone since. He's become a total hermit, doesn't hang out with any of us. He just goes tow boogieing by himself, and I don't blame him. It's more time efficient than a jet ski. It doesn't need to be washed. You still need to hose it down. I take a little 5-liter container. I just give it a little sort of wash down before I chuck it back in the car. But otherwise, you don't need to flush an engine. You don't need to service trailers. You don't need to wash your car out every time. It is literally adds 5 to 10 minutes on top of my regular prone session, and I get to go towing. I'm probably getting 20 more waves than I would be proning. So the wave ratio is just insane. It's added so much and just given me so many new waves to explore. So I'm really frothing on this one. I think it's genuinely an amazing product. I think they've done a really good job with it. So yeah, look, if you have any questions about it, if you have, I think it is a big financial step. They're looking at, I think it's about 6,000 US or 10,000 Aussie. I'm not 100% sure on that. But I do think, look, hit me up on Instagram, Oscar with a K, OSKAR _ foil. I'd be happy to just share my experiences. Ask, there's a few questions like how big your board is, what rider weight it is, what sort of conditions you have, what sort of foils you want to ride. So yeah, hit me up if you have any questions. I'd be happy to sort of try and help you out, see if it's the right product for you. But otherwise, yeah, for me, it's been epic. Yeah, really frothing on where this goes, and yeah, stoked to see where they take it, where everyone else takes it. Yeah, it'd be epic.